I'm here at Niagara Falls, the good side apparently, to explore the flags of this great, and to be more realistic, slightly dull yet safe, and the rest of the world thinks they're just really okay. Welcome to Canada for this Flags in 50 Places. I not only want to check out the national flags, but the provincial and territory flags, which could take as long as Canada's great film release, Shadow of the Wolf. No, I haven't either. I was looking for some great epic film to compare and to demonstrate the length of time it would take. Anyway, to begin with, we need to start with Canada's national flag history and travel to a time of the Great British Empire days. Sorry, I'm trying to glorify that, when the Brits decided that the only flag needed was the Union flag. Both with the 1707 and the 1801 versions of this were used for Canada along with other countries. The problem with this was that after a while, British lost where they were, as every country colonised, had the Union flag flying. It was therefore decided that each colony needed its own identity and came up with the ensign design based on the British Royal Navy style of flags. For Canada, this was a red ensign that was issued with variations until 1964. Ironically, as Canada started to act more independently from Great Britain, they used their flag more and more as they phased out the Union flag. But many saw this as a contradiction in terms, because the canton was either screaming out their colonial masters. So in 1965, the red ensign was dropped and the maple leaf arrived, unique, individual and independent. And why a maple leaf? Good question. The maple leaf possibly emerged first in 1834, when the Society of St. Jean-Baptiste, an association celebrating French-Canadian language and culture, adopted the maple leaf as an emblem. From then on, throughout the 19th and 20th century, as a symbol of Canadian identity, and appears everywhere in popular culture: coins, books, banners, badges. Badges? I think that's supposed to be badges. And it was this thinking by the national government that affected how the territories and the provinces should look at their own flags. Like Canada, all the provincial flags and one of the territorial flags also had British ensigns, just like the examples of Australia. But as time passed, the locals wanted to change, thankfully. The first Canadian province to think about making a new style flag was Nova Scotia in 1929. After the glee of understanding that Nova Scotia wanted a new flag, they had the perfect opportunity to come up with something new, vibrant, elegant, a design that they could be proud of. No. What they decided to do was take their coat of arms and stretch it out to fill the flag. That's it. Somebody obviously decided that at the end of a meeting of the 300th founding anniversary committee, just before lunch, when they realised there was one more agenda item left to cover, some bright spark thought that this was a fantastic idea to keep their double Scottish flag, an inverted Scotland flag with a Royal Scottish standard. The designer then proceeded to run to the bar before a queue formed. And oh, sadly, this is how many other provincial flags followed suit. After waiting a few decades, and with Canada's 100th anniversary coming up in 1967, many decided to then jump on the bandwagon and create new flags. In 1960, British Columbia took their coat of arms and stretched it. Seriously, even the proportions of the Union flag are so that you have to almost feel that you have to hold it at an angle to get the ratios right. Then in 1964, Prince Edward Island took the middle bit of their coat of arms and used it with a three-sided fimbriation. For some reason, someone forgot to colour the red dashes on the hoist side. In 1965, saw New Brunswick stretch their coat of arms. Seriously, no effort at all. And in 1968, Alberta simply removed the Union from the canton and centred their coat of arms. However, Saskatchewan, well, at least they tried. They used the colours of their coat of arms, added a prairie lily, and then for some reason proceeded to add a coat of arms in the canton for good measure. But there were some who were not willing to give any effort at all to redesign, and instead of changing their flags, decided to change their local law to state that the province will actually keep their red ensign, and that's what both Ontario and Manitoba stuck with, their exclusively recognisable designs. Oh dear. However, the one province that makes me quote Dr. Sam Beckett is Newfoundland's, because instead they kept their Union Jack and forgot about any individual recognition to stick with the empire at hand.
Oh boy.
However, they did redeem themselves in 1980 when they finally let go and striked back against the empire. Actually, I don't think striked is an actual word. I wanted to get a Star Wars quote in somewhere. However tenuous that is. Anyway, this is a wonderful Union-esque design. Has blue for lakes, rivers and seas, white for snow and ice, and represents human effort. Yellow gold for the confidence and the arrow pointing for the future. The last province to mention is the French-speaking Quebec, which usually does its own thing anyway because, well, they're French. Quebec is known for its aversion to British symbols and probably anything to do with the British full stop. Mind you, who can blame them? Because they're still irritated about being conquered by the British Empire, I suppose, all those years ago. In the mid-1800s, this red, white, green flag was used to be a popular Quebec patriotic symbol, probably until someone pointed out to them that it looks exactly like the same as Hungary's flag, which led to this in 1948. Quebec's main aim was to make sure that their flag looked, well, French. Taking the old French flag of the House of Bourbon, used a blue nickel fleur-de-lis, changed the colours slightly, and added a cross. Voila. Sorry, couldn't resist. Then there are the three bonus flags, or territories, of Canada. First we start with the Northwest Territories and Yukon, as they follow suit, their national flag of a triband using the same proportions of their national flag. The Northwest Territories, they have a coat of arms in the middle, which came to be in 1969, and replaced the ridiculous ensign with the initials HBC for the Hudson Bay Company. This flag should never have been replaced because, let's face it, it should never have existed in the first place. A bit like a previous New Zealand flag. Seriously, who lets these people come up with these ideas when all they can do is use a typewriter? And Yukon, with its two toned borders and their coat of arms with its Malamite sled dog, St George's Cross and rivers, lakes, snow, forest, which first appears on the 1st of March 1968. But my favourite of all these flags is Nunavut, which first appeared on the 1st of April 1999, along with the territory itself. Thankfully, they didn't follow the suit of the other two territories and just slap a coat of arms on their display. They came up with a beautiful design. So what do you think? Do you think the Canadian provincial and territory flags are any good, even though some of them are quite annoyingly lazy? And to discover why Saudi Arabia has a sword, or what the Nordic cross colours of Finland mean, then you'll need my Flags in 50 Places playlist. Bon voyage.